Hi, fans of high quality entertainment. We're going to talk about the Beatles again. Aren't you excited? Some of you are. Uh, yeah, usually get a lot of good feedback when I do a Beatles video, and I've never tired of the Beatles since seeing them on The Ed Sullivan Show in 1964. And, I honestly never get tired of their music either. So, John, Paul, George, and Ringo, I did a community poll a few days back, and it had a great response. So I thank each and every one of you for your comments and for voting. And what I asked was, so I posted a poll in my community about 3, 4 days ago, asking you, the viewer, who is your favorite Beatle? And I got a response of over 1,000 votes and quite a few comments too. So I thank each and every one of you. Now, when I worded it, I realize, some people even question it like, well, for the Beatle years or for solo. Uh, for this particular video, I'm just talking about the Beatles era, not the solo years. So, when you're talking about your favorite Beatle, please remember it's just for the music from the Beatles era and how much you like them and everything, personalities and everything. So, who is your favorite member of the Beatles? The winner by 42% was Sir Paul McCartney, and followed by John Lennon at 28%. And George Harrison was kind of close up at 24%. That's pretty good. And poor Ringo at 5%. But I think most of us love Ringo. I sure do. And his drumming, especially on the new remixes of the Red and the Blue albums, he's my all-time favorite drummer. So what I'm going to show is one comment for each person that voted for John, Paul, George, and Ringo. I think there were over 50 comments in total. So thank you once again for everybody that left a comment. And so, Dominica5547, I am not much of a Beatles fan, but I will say George Harrison. He seemed like a cool guy. I guess Paul is the most talented member. John Lennon could be a bit of a DICK from what I've read, but then I guess we can all be DICK sometimes. I am starting to enjoy some of Yoko's music. Recently bought Approximately Infinite Universe. Yeah, I love that album. Cool. And then Matt Coffidis 1135. Paul. I've always thought he had the greatest gift for melody, could play many instruments and added the most to the other Beatles songs. He also kept them moving forward after Brian's death. Yeah. Anthony Kiola. John Lennon is my favorite Beatle, including the solo years. For me, he had the best songs, and I can't think of a Beatles song that he wrote and sang that I don't like. Second would be Ringo. He is probably the most likable. I like George's spiritual side, plus his love of F1. Paul McCartney's not too bad either. And then Dr. S chose Ringo. I pick Ringo. Might not be the greatest drummer, but might not be the most talented Beatle, but he's a cool guy. Also, he's kind of family with Joe Walsh. Yep. All right. So now I'm gonna just, my own opinion. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has a favorite Beatle, and there's a few that seriously pick Ringo as number one, and that's great. It's nice to know that all four Beatles are appreciated. So my favorite Beatles, if I had to rank them, but first of all four are equal in the long run. It wouldn't be the Beatles without Ringo. It wouldn't be the Beatles without George Harrison. no matter what some people might think about Ringo's drumming. He's a damn good drummer. So, number 4 for me, poor Ringo. You know, I joke about him sometimes, and I think others do, but Ringo is great. But somebody has to be in fourth place. I love, his vocals for A Little Help from My Friends, Octopus's Garden. I even really love Don't Pass Me By, especially with the new remix. And like I said, his drumming is, even before the remixes, his drumming always stood out. It's one of the great things about the Beatles. There's so many great things about the Beatles, but his drumming is a big part of it, at least for me. But he's in number fourth spot. He's in fourth spot. That's what I meant to say. All right. In third spot for me is George Harrison. And he is, I don't know, he's got to be, sometimes I think he's the most loved Beatle. Even if the others are ranked higher. We all seriously love George and his spirituality and his no BS. His grumpy attitude sometimes, but he was real. And I love, love, love his songs in the Beatles. Even a song like Within You, Without You, some Beatles fans that, probably love George Harrison, but they don't care for that song. I've loved it, the very first time hearing it when I'm 9 years old. It was a bit of a shock because I'd never heard Indian music before, but I quickly grew to appreciate it and love it. And Within You, Without You, I'm very happy it's on the Blue album. It's showing a bit of respect to George too, to include it. But like I said, I love all of his songs, even his very first song, Don't Bother Me, which I guess he didn't think much of. I love that song and his attitude with that song, and Think for Yourself. Just his attitude. Sometimes grumpy, but I love it. And then songs like Long, 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 they're just gorgeous. And of course, Here Comes the Sun, Something, and While My Guitar Gently Weeps, It's All Too Much, Savoy Truffle, I could list them all. And then, his vocals on Roll Over Beethoven, I think are just great, and other songs. But he's in third spot. He's a damn good guitar player too. Let's not forget that. All right. Now, number 2 for me. I know some of you might be surprised because Paul McCartney is my favorite all-time artist, solo career and everything. But unfortunately, John Lennon didn't have as long of a solo career for certain reasons. But I have always loved Paul's music in the Beatles. He's a big part of the Beatles, just like everybody else is. His sense of melody in the Beatles and solo, his vocals just are so good. And his many, many songs, Hey Jude, Blackbird, Eleanor Rigby, She's Leaving Home, She's a Woman, his killer vocals on some of the cover versions, like Kansas City and Long Tall Sally and everything. And of course, his bass playing. Let's not forget that. And sometimes his drumming on like Dear Prudence and a couple of other songs. Back in the USSR, of course. His guitar solo in Taxman. But yeah, number one for me it's always been John Lennon for the Beatle years. My three favorite songs are A Day in the Life, although I know it's partially Paul's too, and then Strawberry Fields Forever and Tomorrow Never Knows, which of course Paul is a part of that too with the tape loops and everything. But and as much as I loved John's solo career, there was just something magical about the Beatle years with his vocals. And, you know, maybe overall, overall, I think he would be my all time favorite singer. But it's mainly for the Beatle years. Not that I don't like his singing on his solo albums. But he was definitely, even Paul, regarded him as the leader of the Beatles. His rhythm guitar playing, his great songs, his great lyrics. He's always been number one for me, for all of the Beatles. But like I said, all of them are 25% of the whole. And I just love all four of the Beatles. And that is it. I would love your thoughts in the comments section below. Who was your favorite Beatle and why? And that's about it. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.